One of the most important signs of healthy soil is earthworm activity. These tiny tunnelers do more than just wiggle through dirt. They're the unsung heroes of soil structure, drainage, aeration, and natural fertilization. Yet many raised bed gardeners notice something missing when they first start out. There are no worms. And without worms, the soil can feel sterile, lifeless, and unresponsive. The good news is that it's completely possible to invite earthworms into your raised garden beds naturally. You don't need to buy worms or import them, you just need to make your beds irresistible to them. If your raised bed sits directly on the ground and doesn't have any barrier like landscape fabric, plastic, or concrete underneath, you're already halfway there. This open bottom setup allows worms to migrate up from the native soil below. But worms are picky. They won't climb into a raised bed filled with dry, compacted, or nutrient-poor material. What they're searching for is a steady supply of moist, decomposing organic matter, food they can digest and live in. Once that condition is met, they'll move in on their own and stay as long as you keep feeding the system. The foundation of a worm-friendly bed is layering. Start with a generous helping of compost. Finished or semi-finished compost both work well because they introduce microbes and soft organic matter that begins breaking down quickly. Adding materials like pea straw, grass clippings, sheep pellets, and aged sawdust gives the bed texture and variety. Worms don't eat fresh green materials right away. Instead, they wait for microbes to colonize those materials. Then they feed on the microbes and decaying matter. This means your bed must stay consistently moist to support this microbial activity. Dry beds slow the breakdown process, which in turn repels worms. Moisture retention is one of the most overlooked steps in worm attraction. Raised beds, especially those made from timber or metal, lose water faster than in-ground beds. Mulching your surface with rotted hay, shredded leaves, or straw helps maintain humidity. When worms move into a bed and find an abundance of soft food and stable moisture, they start breeding. And unlike imported worms, which often fail to survive relocation, these native migrants are already adapted to your garden's soil, climate, and ecosystem. If your raised bed was built with a weed mat or fabric barrier at the bottom, worms can't migrate from the ground. In this case, you'll either need to remove the barrier or manually introduce worms. But before you go out and buy earthworms online or from a bait shop, make sure your bed has the right environment to support them. Dumping worms into a lifeless bed is like releasing fish into a pond with no oxygen. Without food, moisture, and shade, they'll disappear quickly. For gardeners determined to populate their raised beds fast, one strategy is to build a worm trench inside the bed. This involves digging a narrow trench down the center, filling it with soft kitchen scraps like banana peels, melon rinds, coffee grounds, and lettuce stems, then covering it with soil. This concentrated pocket of food attracts the first wave of worms. As the material breaks down, worms multiply and spread outward into the rest of the bed. Over time, you can move the trench side to side, creating a full bed that's alive with movement underneath. Adding aged manures like rabbit, sheep, or cow manure also enhances worm migration. These materials are nutrient-rich, soft, and full of microbial life. When blended with mulch and compost, they create a perfect zone for earthworm colonies to thrive. But timing matters. Applying fresh manure can be too hot and actually repel worms. Use composted or aged manure that's cool to the touch and odor-free. Avoid tilling or disturbing your raised bed too often. Earthworms thrive in undisturbed soil where they can build tunnels, lay cocoons, and move around freely. Excessive digging breaks their habitat and resets progress. Instead, build your fertility slowly from the top by layering mulch and compost, watering regularly, and allowing nature to work from the bottom up. Over time, you'll see more castings, better moisture retention, improved plant health, and loose, friable soil that almost lifts in your hands. There's also a natural rhythm to earthworm migration. During the warmer seasons, especially right after a rain, you'll notice a lot more activity. In the colder months or during dry spells, worm activity really slows down, but their eggs stay safe in cocoons deep in the soil, just waiting to repopulate when conditions get better. If you maintain your raised bed well through these cycles, the earthworms will come back stronger each time. You don't need to spend money or chase complicated solutions to bring worms into your garden. All it takes is just a bit of patience and the right combination of organic material, moisture, and stability. Once worms arrive, they transform your raised bed into a dynamic, living ecosystem that produces healthier plants, resists disease, and needs less fertilizer. Their castings alone enrich your soil with nutrients in a form that plants absorb easily, and their constant tunneling aerates the soil better than any hand tool ever could. So if your raised bed feels dull and compacted, give it what worms are looking for. Bury some scraps, water it gently, mulch the surface, and wait. The soil will change before your eyes, and the worms will follow. If this guide helped you rethink how to build a worm-rich garden bed, don't forget to share it with a fellow gardener. Subscribe to Hydro Haven for more practical, grounded, and transformative tips to revive your soil, grow naturally, and get the most out of every square foot, whether you garden in beds, bags, or balconies. Let's bring the soil back to life, one raised bed at a time.